Hello everybody, DF here. Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, a podcast of all things Beauty and the Beast. And I apologize for those of you who were in the last charity stream with all the technical difficulties that arose. I don't know why this always happens when I host a charity stream. Hopefully there will be no technical difficulties today. If it does continue, I may have to go back to pre-recording episodes. I don't know what's up with Podbean lately. But still, we had managed to raise $35.23 for No Kid Hungry, and we even got some new donators. So thank you for that. Money will go to feeding the kids in America in low-income communities to make sure they're getting all the food they need. And I apologize for the error I made in the last episode on how the prince from Swan Lake is Prince Derek. Swan Princess is Prince Derek and not Eric. I don't know why I said Eric. I'm sorry for that. Alright, so last time, you'll remember, we discussed Tchaikovsky's ballet Swan Lake as requested by Dragon Prince patron Anime Guy 1101, and many of you agreed that the ending of that ballet, where the lovers committed suicide all Romeo and Juliet style, was disappointing, and you much preferred the end of the film of Swan Princess. Why does doomed or unrequited love always have to end in death? I mean, Romeo and Juliet, Little Mermaid, Eponine in Les Mis, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Phantom of the Opera, even King Kong. I get if it's supposed to be a tragedy, but it sends a really bad message to people who don't end up with the ones they love. Why is death always the answer? You know, by that definition, I should have killed myself years ago. I didn't, but my heart has been broken a few times, and, well, let's just say if I went by those standards, I wouldn't be here today. This is why most adaptations of Swan Lake have a happier or at least more hopeful ending. And today we will talk about the anime Princess Tutu, which takes inspiration from Swan Lake and other ballets and fairy tales combined with the magical girl anime trope. This anime is interesting because it seems to portray. Oh god, I can't read the word here, and these are my own notes. Because it seems to portray not one, not two, but at least 3 types of Beauty and the Beast type relationships. Perhaps more, depending on how you look at it. It's a little bizarre in some places. I mean, what would an anime be without a little bit of weirdness? Though, seriously, what's with the cat teacher who's constantly obsessed with having his underage students marry him? What's with that? But what I love about Princess Tutu is it's dealing with unrequited love and overall theme that everyone has a little bit of beastliness or ugliness inside of them, and that's okay. So, I would like to thank my $5 plus patrons, Anime Guy 1101, Dead as a Doe, and Tyrannosaurus Venom, especially Anime Guy for requesting this series. You can watch all 26 episodes on Amazon Prime if you have the time. It is well worth the binge in this quarantine, trust me. You too can become a patron and show your support with just $1 a month and make all the difference. Click that green button in the right-hand corner of the screen, or click that gift button on the Podbean app, or if you're listening on YouTube, follow the link in the description below. Oh, and as Anime Guy 1101 points out, it is also on Hulu if you have that. The Princess Tutu. Or, to also show your support for this podcast, you can buy Beauties and Beasts merch on Redbubble. You can just go to my shop, Disney Fanatic 23, that's Disney Fanatic 23. Also contains some Pride merch if you want to wear your flag for Pride Month in June, just a few short days away. We are now selling masks on Redbubble. For every mask sold, Redbubble will donate one to Heart to Heart International. I'd like to thank everybody who's bought masks so far. I'm really thrilled with how many we've sold in such a short time. And I just want to remind you that these are for general public use only, and better for when buying groceries rather than wearing in a hospital setting. Those you want more official masks. And I really recommend you check out the different sort of masks available on Redbubble. It would be a good way to protect yourself while still standing out, and you would be supporting an independent artist. But If you do not buy a mask, then I will have no choice but to have you marry me! Wow! Yeah. Remember, if you want a question or comment read aloud on the stream, minimum cost is 5 gold beans, unless you are a patron. And please try to keep your comments or questions relevant to the topic until the very end. Thank you very much. So, Princess Tutu ran from August 2002 to May 2003 and was also adapted into a manga shortly afterwards, consisting of 26 episodes of 2 seasons. The plot is a bit convoluted, and since 26 episodes is a lot to cover, I will stick to the important details and not necessarily in the order presented. Spoiler alert for those of you who have not watched the anime. Alright, so, once upon a time, there was a storyteller by the name of Drosselmeyer. Yes, like the Drosselmeyer in the Nutcracker, if you've been following the series, which is another Tchaikovsky ballet. I think it's because that character also was a bit of a meddler in his story. This Drosselmeyer has the power to make his stories come to life. But the townsfolk saw the danger of such a power, bending the world to his will. And so they cut off his hands so that he couldn't write anymore. And as a result, he died. And this was before he could finish his final story of The Prince and the Raven. And even though Drosselmeyer died, his ghost still has the power to make the town his living storybook. Lots of weird things happen in the town, like half the residents taking the form of anthropomorphic animals, and everyone just shrugs it off like it's normal. Sadly, this was not really explained until nearly the end of the second season, so there was so much confusion from a viewer standpoint. I will say that kind of threw me off in the first couple episodes. I got used to it. Anyway, decades have gone by, and Drosselmeyer's ghost is still trying to finish his story of The Prince and the Raven. In that story, an evil raven breaks free of his story and into the real world. And his enemy, Prince Siegfried, yes, like the prince in Swan Lake, pursues him. The raven wishes to consume the prince's heart, but the prince seals the raven away by shattering his own heart with his sword. As a result, he loses his memories and emotions. The prince, now with complete amnesia and emotional difficulty, is found by a boy named Fakir, who gives him the name Muto. He tries to keep Muto safe and not regain his heart, fearing it will free the raven, as he knows the story. It's been passed down for generations. Because Muto wants to dance, he and Fakir enroll in the town school for arts, and Muto becomes popular among the dancers and enters a relationship with the female ballet star, Rue. Little does he know, Rue is really Princess Krahi, daughter of the Raven, reborn as a human. And even she is unaware of this, also without her memories. Okay, now that complicated background is out of the way, let's get to our main heroine. Drosselmeyer's ghost has been watching the characters, and he finds a duck who has been watching Muto dance by the pond. She sees his sad expression and wants to make him smile, and starts to fall in love with him. So Drosselmeyer gives the duck a pendant that turns her into a human girl named Duck. Well, a Hiru in the original Japanese version, which means duck. As a human girl, Duck enrolls in the school ballet class in order to be closer to Muto, but continues to watch him from afar. The pendant also gives her a third form, Sailor Moon style, as the graceful ballerina Princess Tutu, another character from The Prince and the Raven, who defeats enemies through the power of dance. Yes, I know how unrealistic that sounds, but magic. Just roll with it. I can even see all the confusion in the chat here. Sorry about that. As Princess Tutu, Duck must find all the shards of the prince's heart and return them to him. Why is that so hard to say? I found my new tongue twister. Return them to him. But there are others who want to prevent Muto from regaining his heart. First there's Fakir, who wants to keep the raven from escaping. And he is also afraid to lose his own life, as the knight in the story does in saving his best friend, the prince. Rue is also afraid if Muto regains his emotions, he will not return her feelings, and she would rather keep him in this emotionless state. As Muto slowly regains the heart shards, Rue is able to transform into Princess Crehi, resembling Odile the Black Swan, if you will remember what we talked about in Swan Lake, the dark counterpart to Princess Tutu, who looks like a white swan. Or white duck, I guess. To further complicate matters, Duck learns that if Tutu ever confesses her love to Muto, she will turn into a speck of light, just like in the story. Yet she continues when Muto confesses that he wants his heart restored. Fakir comes to accept it and helps Tutu when he discovers Duck's true identity. Not just as Duck the girl, but Duck the quack duck. But Crehi soaks one of the shards in Raven's blood, so when it is restored to Muto, he becomes a vessel for the Raven, and not so nice. Fakir soon discovers that he is a descendant of Drosselmeyer, and that he had also inherited the power to bring stories to life. He wants to use this power to write a happy ending for Muto, but suffers from writer's block. I can relate. Rue also learns that she is Crehi, though as a baby was stolen from the Raven. So she was born human, but had consumed Raven's blood as an infant, and so became sort of half Raven, half human. She realizes she would rather be Rue, that she has become accustomed to her human identity, and doesn't like the monster that she's made Muto to be. Literally and figuratively, as he himself becomes a Raven from the Raven's blood poisoning. Duck finds that 4 of the heart shards are sealed within the town, but those shards are also keeping the Raven trapped. So when they are restored to Muto, the Raven is freed. In this, Muto is able to love again, and he realizes that he loves Rue, but the Raven kidnaps her due to her betrayal. Yeah. And Duck discovers that the last heart shard is in the pendant that turns her into a Princess Tutu. So as soon as she relinquishes it to Muto, she's turned back into a mere duck, giving up her human life for good. So there is a battle that ensues between the prince and the Raven. And meanwhile, Fakir is hidden away writing the story in an attempt to finish it, but finding it difficult to control his hand and bend the words to his will. The prince, now Siegfried again, considers shattering his heart once more to trap the Raven again, as he is surrounded by newly transformed Raven minions. But Duck dances for the prince, telling him not to give up. Meanwhile, Fakir is writing of her determination and courage. Siegfried, inspired, finds strength to rescue Rue and defeat the Raven. Then he asks Rue to be his princess, and they return to the kingdom inside the story. The town returns to normal, people are no longer anthropomorphic animals, and Duck and Fakir continue to be friends even though she is still just a duck, quack quack. And Drosselmeyer departs in search of a new story. Who knows what he's going to do? Maybe he's going to give a nutcracker to a young girl and try to set them up. I know, one hell of a story. You really have to watch the whole thing to get it. But let's break it down by character. Because it is interesting how the 4 main characters serve at some point as a beauty and a beast. Okay, first there's Duck. The beastly part of her is that she's a humble duck. Actually, she has 2 alter egos. As a human girl, Duck is clumsy and awkward, and not someone, well, at least in Duck's point of view, most would consider as a potential partner or even someone worth their time. She struggles with a lot of lacking confidence. As Tutu, she's graceful and confident, and she believes that she is beautiful. As Siegfried/Muto is a handsome prince, and in his heartless state, he's unable to love. But as he regains his heart, the more negative emotions like envy and sadness and anger return. And when he is corrupted by the Raven's blood, he tries to get the Raven a sacrifice by finding a heart full of love for him, and by doing that, he tries to manipulate a lot of people, and it's not really pretty. He becomes a literal monster, less and less human, with continued selfishness. His struggle is to turn from an emotionless pushover, going along with what everybody else expects of him, to a selfish, controlling monster, to the brave prince he once was, accepting emotions good and bad. Because part of being human is experiencing pain, and you must learn to live with it. Rue, as a human, is a fairly decent person. Though she is popular, she is kind to people like Duck and does care about Muto in her own way. But her insecurity to be loved keeps Muto in his emotionless state. She herself becomes a controlling and manipulative beast, wanting to keep Muto all to herself. And seeing how her beastliness has turned the one she loved into a beast, she realizes she doesn't want Muto in this way. If the love is not for real, it's just not worth it. And in the end, she decides to be the part of herself that she loves, not the part that she hates. And then there's Fakir. His beastliness is the least literal of all the characters, in the sense that he doesn't really undergo any physical transformation. It's really his personality that's his issue. He appears mean and controlling at first when it comes to Muto, and Duck initially dislikes him. But not really for selfish reasons is he this unpleasant, because he just wants to protect his friend. And he comes to respect Muto's choice eventually. His real challenge is using his role in the right way, as a friend and as a writer with the power to make the stories real. It is interesting that at first, you would think that we'd want to root for the heroine Duck to win the prince's heart. And though she does work to fix Muto, it does not mean that she will gain his love, and confessing it will mean her vanishing. Okay, Anime Guy 1101 just said, Fakir learns that the pen is mightier than the sword, literally. Right, that is a good way to put it, because he goes from using a sword to a pen. But at one point, Muto believes himself to be in love with Princess Tutu because of how happy he felt when she was near. But Duck is aware that what he loves is just an ideal. He only sees beautiful Princess Tutu, not a clumsy duck. I started to see that Duck and Muto didn't really spend much time together, and they really weren't compatible as people, and I shipped them less and less as the show went on. Her stronger relationship turned out to be with Fakir, which was a surprise to me. And Fakir acted cold around her, but when he found her as a duck, he showed a kind side she'd never seen before. And he gets to know her clumsy girl side better than Muto does. Of all the characters, Fakir is the only one who becomes acquainted with all three versions of Duck. And because of this, they are able to become friends. In turn, Duck learns that Fakir only acts unpleasant out of love, and they bond out of shared affection for Muto. And note how Fakir is only able to write with passion and confidence when he is writing about Duck, especially when she keeps on fighting despite being in her bird state. Their relationship doesn't exactly end in romance, though it is implied at the end Fakir will continue writing the story, so who knows what will happen. Maybe he can make her a duck girl again, so they can develop the relationship further. I certainly ship it. I really think it was left open-ended for those two. Overall, the anime shows that in love and friendship, you have to be able to accept your friend or partner's light and dark side, all of their flaws and imperfections, as well as your own imperfections. Muto comes to love Rue despite her dark past. Rue remains loyal to Muto even through his existential crisis. Duck comes to accept herself as a humble duck, but doesn't let it stop her from helping those she cares about. Fakir comes to learn that in order to help others, you have to be able to trust your friends to be able to help themselves. Something Duck and Fakir learn is that love doesn't require sacrifice, at least not to the point of self-annihilation. Drosselsteyer and Grahey try to convince Duck that the only ending for her was to confess her love and then vanish just like that. Anime Guy 1101 just asked, what about Miss Adele, if I'm spelling her name right? Yeah, I didn't really get into that because I couldn't follow that. I couldn't follow that storyline, that little subplot as well. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, Drosselmeyer and Craigie tried to convince Duck that the only ending for her was to confess her love and then just vanish, just like that. And for Fakir, it seemed like his destiny was to die for a friend. And they both defied that written destiny, creating happy ending for all parties. In Duck's case, she didn't have to die for her unrequited love. And she almost did, but soon realized it didn't matter if she couldn't have Muto. She could still help him in any way she could in becoming whole again, like he wanted and like she wanted. She even started to wonder at one point what it was she loved about Muto. I was wondering that too. And she found more comfort in being herself around Fakir in the end. And the friendship was really all she needed. And because of Fakir's belief in her, she was able to sacrifice her human life to help Muto and save Rue so that they could both be happy. Duck may have sacrificed her happiness for the sake of another's, but she didn't have to sacrifice her life, if you get what I'm saying. That's how one should really act when love is unrequited. Accept that person doesn't love you back, but still be there for them as a friend if you're able to. And don't lose hope because just because one person doesn't love you, there might be another who is better for you. Heartbreak isn't the end of the world, so you don't have to give up on love. And sometimes all you really need is a friend. That is true selflessness and self-sacrifice, not suicide. Suicide's bad. Alright, so, that was shorter than I expected. Sorry if I've been running my mouth a bit. I've kind of been awake for a really long time and I'm starting to lose my juice. Alright. Okay, so Bella Pink Savage sent a donation of 30 gold beans. LOL, I'm the only one here who hasn't watched it yet, and when you mentioned the cat teacher, I was like, what? Yeah, the cat is weird. I heard his voice in both the Japanese and English, and I'm gonna say, I think this is one of the instances where the voice in English was better, because it just sounded more catty to me, and, scratchy, like a cat should be, like, I will have you marry me! Wow. Yeah, that's kind of his thing. Like, he's always threatening the students, like, if you don't pay attention, I will have you marry me! And he's just totally obsessed with marriage. Though he would show to have some good advice every now and then. Actually, he was the one who said that Odile's love wasn't pure, kind of foreshadowing to Rue, who was the villain, but it turned out that her love was actually pure for Muto, and she was rewarded in the end when she didn't betray him. Well, at the end, kind of took her a while to get there, I will admit. And Rose1920 just sent a donation of 5 gold beans. Thank you for that. Was there anything in particular you wanted to ask or a comment you wanted read aloud? Hold on. Chat's acting slow. Yeah, the relationships felt realistic. They really did. They definitely weren't perfect, I will give you that. But that's okay. Like at first, I really thought Rue... Well, I was kind of confused. Whether we were supposed to hate her or like her, because she kind of flip-flopped. These characters definitely were not two-dimensional, and they just had their bad side and their good side, which both shone through. And I think definitely in Duck's case, I don't think her flaws were completely resolved. She learned to accept them. Like, her final form as a duck, she was able to help the person she cared about. I say cared about because I don't think she's as much in love with him anymore. And who knows what will happen with Duck and Fakir. Alright, does anyone have any more questions or comments they want read aloud? Now is the time. It doesn't have to be on the topic, or it can be on something else. And remember, minimum is 5 gold beans unless you are a patron. while you're coming up with that, remember that June is Pride Month, so next week we will focus on a lesbian version of Beauty and the Beast, the manga Beauty and the Beast Girl, as requested by Dragon Princess patron Dead as a Doe. And we will also be looking further into the differences between male and female beasts as they are represented in the media. Yeah, so any last questions or comments? Alright, so Anime Guy 1101 asks, you mentioned Sailor Moon earlier. Do you plan on covering that at some point? I've never watched Sailor Moon. There, I said it. And, you know, I'd like to, but the thing is, there's a lot of controversy on which version I'm supposed to watch. Like, there's one dub, there's another dub, or there's a sub version. Like, which version am I supposed to watch? That is why I've never watched it, even though people keep telling me I should. So, yeah. Oh boy, I'm getting some really disappointed comments at that. I don't know, which one am I supposed to watch? And this will be a freebie, like, you don't have to... Okay, oh, it's on Hulu with both the new dub and sub. Do we have Hulu in the household? I'll have to check. Yeah, you're saying the dub, but no, I mean there are like two different dubs. That's why I'm confused. so which dub is the newer one or the old one? Would you guys suggest? Oh, the old dub took out the LGBT stuff. Okay, that is good to know. That really solidifies my decision. Thank you very much. The newer one. All right. I'll take you guys' word for it, and I'll see if I can find it. Okay. So, anything else you guys want to add before we clock out here? I'm kind of running out of my energy for the day. I've been up for over 12 hours. I woke up very early this morning for some reason. Okay. I'll look to binge on Sailor Moon as soon as I'm done binging on Assassination Classroom, okay? Oh yeah. 30 gold beans for Bella Pink Savage. Haha, have fun with binging Sailor Moon. Okay. Alright, until next time, be sure to check out the patron perks and the Redbubble merch. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, heartbreak isn't the end of the world. Though this coronavirus might be. Oh, don't tell me you weren't thinking of it too.